Hello, everyone. My name is Gavin Tritt, and I am the Executive Director of Oberlin Shansi. And I'm here today with Shansi Deputy Director Ted Samuel and our returned fellow Eli Fisher. And we are thrilled to be able to welcome you to this virtual 2020 Shansi Breakfast. Normally, we would be meeting in Longman Commons over breakfast and strawberries and cream. Our new fellows would be bleary-eyed and their proud families would be surrounding them. And Shansi and Oberlin alums would fill the tables cheering on the new fellows. This year, unfortunately, we were not able to celebrate in our traditional way. We did want to welcome and introduce this wonderful group of new fellows to the Shansi family. For all of us, this has been a challenging year. As many of you know, Shansi fellows and visiting scholars returned home in February and March in response to the COVID-19 global pandemic worsening in Asia and in the United States. Despite that disruption, I have been so impressed by our resilient and adaptable fellows. They have continued to work and stay engaged with their host organizations and communities, even with these great distances separating them. The three fellows who teach at JF Oberlin University outside Tokyo, for example, have conducted a full semester's worth of classes online. Our fellows in China and Indonesia completed their semesters teaching online, while our NGO fellows in Japan and India were able to work remotely. With the situation in Asia, and especially here in the United States, so unpredictable, we just don't know when our current fellows will be able to return to their sites, nor when our new fellows will be able to take up their posts for the first time. But we are confident in the mission of Oberlin Shansi at this time of difficulty, and the dedication and commitment of our partners and our fellows to making sure they will be back at their fellowship sites as soon as it is safe. In the meantime, we anticipate our new fellows will begin their terms working remotely while preparing for their eventual departures for Asia. We look forward to introducing our new fellows here, and I hope you will enjoy the short video that they have prepared in the time-honored Shansi tradition. As most of you likely know, Shansi fellowships are two-year opportunities for recent Oberlin graduates to work with universities and non-governmental organizations in Asia. We currently send 15 fellows to China, India, Indonesia, and Japan, and with our new independent fellowship to other locations as well. Over these 2 years, fellows build professional skills, create lifelong friendships, and develop enduring commitments to cross-cultural learning and engagement. They work hard, but they also travel widely in their countries and around Asia, and we look forward to them being able to get back to that hard work and fun to play as soon as possible. You can find out more about these individual fellowships if you visit our website at shansi.org. And if you take a look at our pages on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube, you'll see videos and recent stories from fellows, visiting scholars, and Shansi and Asia grant winners. As I said at the start, this is not a normal Shansi breakfast, but I still want to be sure to recognize former fellows, trustees, student committee members, and Oberlin faculty at this point. This year, we have depended on our Shansi family, including trustees, advisory committee members, engaged alumni, dedicated Oberlin faculty and administrators to help us navigate very challenging circumstances. We're grateful to all of you for your help. And I'd like also to take this opportunity to thank all of the generous donors who support Shansi's programs with gifts to our annual fund and our endowment. These donations make Shansi programs possible. And I am so grateful this year for all of the members of our community who stepped up this spring to help when we really needed your support. So now it gives me great pleasure to start the introductions of our accomplished group of 8 Oberlin grads about to take up their fellowships in China, India, Indonesia, Japan, and as you'll learn, Taiwan. I'd like to start with Jennifer Lin, the first of our 2 fellows who is headed to Shansi Agricultural University in the city of Taiguchi in China's Shansi province. Jen majored in art history and creative writing with an East Asian Studies minor. She worked as a residential assistant in Asia House and is an organizer for several Asian American cultural organizations and events, like As I Am, the Pan-Asian Committee, and the Asia America Art Collective. These experiences at Oberlin sparked her interest in community-centered activism, education, and growth. And in January of 2019, Jen receives an In-Asia grant that allowed her to spend winter term in Taipei. She created a digital zine that documented the experiences of LGBTQ plus activists, artists, and academics in Taiwan, following a rise in opposition toward the legalization of same-sex marriage. In addition to these activities, Jen volunteered as a docent for the Allen Memorial Art Museum and worked for Oberlin College Library's special collections as a book preservation technician and letterpress assistant. She intends to continue to pursue her interests in the arts, reproducible media, and museums while she's living in Taipei. The second fellow I'd like to introduce today is Rex Simmons, who will also be going to Shansi Agricultural University in Taipei. Rex was an East Asian Studies and Environmental Studies double major who graduated in 2019. Throughout his Oberlin career, Rex studied Chinese, including study abroad in Taiwan, and 2 winter terms in immersive language environments. In addition to academics, Rex worked as an English tutor in Elyria City Public Schools, where he helped Chinese-speaking students with their homework and translated classroom instruction. He also worked as a student assistant to the Luce Initiative on Asian Studies and the Environment, and as a garden intern and compost coordinator for the Oberlin Community Services Food Pantry. In the future, Rex hopes to pursue graduate study in resource conflicts and geography, with China as a potential site for future research, and he spent the last year working on environmental issues in the community in New Orleans. Our newest partnership in Asia is with the Keystone Foundation, an eco-development organization based in the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve in India's Tamil Nadu state. The organization works with local Adivasi communities on resource management issues and a host of other challenges that are facing these communities in the area. For more information on Keystone and how our new fellow will work with them, please check out our website. We're thrilled to have Madeline Gefke serving as our inaugural fellow with Keystone. Madeline is a biology and environmental studies double major. At Oberlin, she conducted research on disease ecology, woody agriculture, and community event participation. Her work at the Audubon Naturalist Society sparked her interest in environmental education, connecting students in local public schools with nature. She explored interdisciplinary aspects of conservation fields at Doris Duke Conservation Scholar in Arizona, where she learned about land management, indigenous perspectives, and diversity in the field. All of these experiences will serve her very well working with Keystone in Kotagiri. Madeline also continued her studies abroad in Thailand, where she learned the Thai language to converse with host families, market vendors, indigenous groups, and government agencies about sustainable agriculture, forestry management, and small-scale fishing. She was inspired by the stories and traditional knowledge she listened to both in the Southwest and in Thailand, and her interests that evolve lie in community sustainability, cultural resiliency, which she hopes to learn more about as a Shansi Fellow. Next, I want to introduce our newest Independent Fellow. This is one of Shansi's newest initiatives. The Independent Fellowship challenges our applicants to design their own 2-year experience in Asia. Our first Independent Fellow, Laura Jingyi Lee, has just completed a 2-year fellowship working on global education and entrepreneurship issues with high school students in Japan. Today, I am really excited to introduce Sheng Kao, who will be our new Independent Fellow, spending the next 2 years in Taiwan. Sheng will be working with New Bloom magazine. It is an independent online magazine founded by students and activists, which focuses on youth politics in Taiwan and around the Asia Pacific. They also develop and maintain fascinating oral history projects. Sheng graduated from Oberlin with a degree in biology. As a scientist and writer, she's interested in the transmission of knowledge and information. She also has a deep love for writing poetry, having published in numerous online journals and been nominated for Sundress Publications' Best of the Net 2019 award. At Oberlin, Sheng has held positions on the Oberlin Review, the Asian American Alliance, and the Third World Co-op. And she told us that her favorite thing about Oberlin is how student-formed communities allow for social and political collaboration. For 2 years, she also served as an elected officer of the Oberlin Student Cooperative Association, or OSCA. We're excited to have Sheng join us as our next Independent Fellow. Now, I'm pleased to turn it over to our Deputy Director, Ted Samuel, will introduce our new fellows to Indonesia and Japan. Ted?
Thank you, Gavin. I am excited to introduce Kara Nepomuceno, who will be the Shansi Fellow to Gadjah Mada University in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Kara was a dance and biology major with a minor in comparative American studies. At Oberlin, she facilitated first-year workshops and helped train fellow student leaders through the Peer Advising Leaders program. She also served as co-chair of the Filipino American Students Association and organized educational programs and performances in the Asian American community. Kara received a Shansi in Asia grant in the winter of 2019 and developed research in performance studies and regional dances of Southeast Asia. She shared her work at the Asia Pacific Dance Festival and Conference in August of 2019. She looks forward to developing as an educator and an artist in Yogyakarta. Next, I'd like to introduce Ora Hamill, who will serve as the Shansi Fellow to Shakwala University in Banda Aceh, Indonesia. Ora graduated from Oberlin with a degree in environmental studies. She comes to Shansi with a great deal of experience in outdoor education, having led several canoeing programs with teenagers over the past few summers. She likes to describe her experience as an outdoor counselor as taking on 3 primary roles: a parent, a teacher, and a friend. This experience has taught Ora so much about effective and fulfilling ways to educate. At Oberlin, Ora was a peer advising leader for first-year students and worked as a captain of the Oberlin Ultimate Frisbee team. In January of 2019, Ora worked with the Midwest Food Connection as a teacher's assistant in K-12 classrooms. And we would also like to introduce Leo, who will be serving as our fellow to Hiroshima. Leo Anderson graduated with a degree in politics and studio art and a minor in East Asian studies. Growing up, they moved countries periodically, and this international experience strongly influenced their academic focus on comparative politics, social movements, and minority rights in Japan. It has further informed their artistic practice through forms of painting, sculpture, and installation. At Oberlin, they were involved in a number of student organizations, including the Japanese Student Association and the Student Labor Action Coalition. They also contributed as an illustrator to publications like As I Am, and worked in the theater department paint shop as a scenic painter for 2 years. Through this fellowship, Leo hopes to utilize their skills and passions to address issues of social conflict, political oppression, and minority rights through arts and education. And I'd like to round out our new fellows introductions with Ava Prince, who will be serving as the Shansi Fellow to JF Oberlin University in Machida, Japan. Ava graduated from Oberlin in 2018 with a degree in history and a minor in East Asian studies. While at Oberlin, she studied Japanese language and history and studied abroad in Kyoto. As a senior, she served as the outreach coordinator for a visiting public history exhibit called Courage and Compassion, our shared story of the Japanese-American World War II experience. As the coordinator, she developed educational programming for Lorain County's K-12 students. Ava has continued to pursue a career in museum education since graduation. As the first curatorial assistant at the education department at the Allen Memorial Art Museum, she implemented a grant to expand the museum's East Asian art education initiatives. More recently, she has worked as an educator in the New York Historical Society, the Museum of the City of New York, and the Brooklyn Historical Society. During her fellowship, Ava hopes to deepen and diversify her relationship with contemporary Asia and to become a more versatile educator. So let's give a round of applause to the 2020 Shansi Fellows. And now I am pleased to announce that we are keeping up with a time-honored tradition. In past Shansi Breakfasts, fellows have been expected to perform a skit. These short performances have ranged from informative to downright silly, but it is a modern rite of passage that we hold very close to our hearts. and it also helps our new fellows enter into the Shansi family. This year, fellows insisted on keeping that tradition alive, even though they are miles away from Oberlin and from each other. We are thrilled with their ingenuity in making this happen. I am pleased to introduce the 2020 Shansi Fellows skit.
Here's the story of our Shansi Fellows who were ready to take on 2020. All of them have been in OB, like so many, ready to see the world. Here's the story of a global virus that required all of them to stay at home. They were leaders, holding it together, but feeling all alone. Till the one day when the world is so much safer, even though they couldn't make it to this brunch, that this group must somehow form a cohort. That's the way we all became the Shansi Bunch, the Shansi Bunch, the Shansi Bunch. That's the way we became the Shansi Bunch.
Thanks once again, Shansi Fellows. Way to combine modern technology with a retro pop culture reference. That was absolutely incredible. We'd like to conclude today's event with an address from our current returned fellow, Eli Fisher. And this is an address to our new cohort of fellows. Eli began his position in August 2019, which in many ways feels like a lifetime ago. For the first half of his tenure at Shansi, Eli was instrumental in recruiting this incredible class of fellows. He also worked with me to redesign our fellows orientation and training. In addition to serving as an excellent mentor for our applicants, Eli thought strategically, constantly seeking ways to fully prepare our fellows for life and work abroad. Since February, Eli's work at Shansi has evolved due to changing global circumstances. I am not exaggerating when I say that the past 6 months have been among the most challenging times that Shansi has faced in its 112-year history. But throughout this pandemic, Eli proved to be a critical member of our team. He brought a sense of positivity, warmth, professionalism, and humor to Shansi. He was a sounding board for Gavin and me, a friend to the new fellows, and a reliable presence throughout. We are incredibly lucky to have worked with him. And we look forward to hearing your address, Eli. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Ted, for those very sweet words. So, dear 2020 Shansi Fellows, first off, to all the 2020 graduates, I want to send a huge congratulations. I know the circumstances were less than ideal, but it is a huge accomplishment, and I am so proud of all of you. In lieu of the traditional Shansi Breakfast, where the returned fellow normally gives a longer speech, I just wanted to say a few words. It was such a pleasure to work with and get to know all of you. We were so excited about this group after selecting you all as fellows, and through the orientation process and beyond, you have all absolutely exceeded our expectations. You are all so bright, thoughtful, and resilient, and this certainly came through during the orientation. Being able to participate in the orientation sessions with you was very meaningful for me. You were all so thoughtful, open, and engaged during sessions where we delved into more personal subjects, and Ted and I were beyond impressed. I personally learned so much just from being around you all during those sessions. Outside of the more formal parts of the orientation, I had such a blast hanging out with you all, both in Oberlin and also at Country Skateland and my personal favorite place, the trampoline park. It's not an exaggeration to say that these were some of the highlights of my year in Oberlin. And to Maddie and Shang, although we didn't get to spend time with you during orientation, it was great getting to know you through the application process. And a shout out to Maddie for coming to my impromptu surprise going away party. Finally, I just want to say how excited I am for all of you to begin your journey as Shansi Fellows. I know this is not how you imagined it would begin, with many of you starting language classes online, but I know you are all so resilient and will be able to persevere through these difficult circumstances. I'm excited to hear and see all the incredible things you accomplished during your fellowship. These fellowships are not always easy, but from my experience as a fellow, working through these challenges that arose led to significant personal growth. And I know you guys are all well equipped to handle anything that comes your way. Don't forget that the whole Shansi Alumni Network will always be here for you. It's a very tight-knit community, and when I was a fellow, I often relied on recent fellows for support and guidance. So please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and other alumni. We are always here for you in whatever way you need us. So with that, I wish you the best of luck on your Shansi Fellowship journey.
Thank you, Eli. And thank you to all of the participants in this video. I hope you all have enjoyed watching it. Welcome and thank you to all of the new Shansi Fellows who've been working so hard to make things work with their summer language study and preparations, even if delayed, for getting to Asia and being so dedicated about working remotely at the beginning of their fellowships. We are really thrilled for you, and I know you're going to have a wonderful experience, even if the travel abroad is somewhat delayed. And thank you to all of you from the Shansi community for taking the time to watch this unusual 2020 Shansi Breakfast. We look forward to seeing many of you in person at the 2021 Shansi Breakfast next May. So thank you, and see you again next year.